What's up, y'all? You're listening to the Extra Point College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Carnes, joined as always by my co-host, Daniel Hammock. Daniel, we are in the middle of doing our season previews, our picks for each conference, but we had to hit the pause button because, well, for two reasons. One, we booked 2 weeks for the Big 12. We did it in one. So we had an extra week to do some content. 2 weeks ago, I realized that right now we're recording our 100th episode of the Extra Point. Boom. That's your Wilt moment.
Content right here. All right, content.
You got to watch us on YouTube to see what Daniel's holding up.
Exactly. So, missing out. We're here for the visual and the audio. So, like and subscribe.
So, for our 100th episode, we decided to take a break from some season previews and some picks, and we just want to do a college football fanfare episode because I know you and I are probably the most excited we've been for a college football season. I know in my lifetime, and we love college football. We know that if you're listening to this podcast, if you're watching us on YouTube, you love college football. So we're just going to run through some lists, some of our favorite things about the sport, whether it be uniforms, stadiums, traditions, colors. We didn't even put this on here. Logos, maybe. Well, we'll just see where we go with it.
Yeah.
And we want to hear feedback from you, though. Let us know in the comments. Comment on social media. Let us know what your favorite things are about college football because we want to hear it. We love college football. We're fans just like you. And so we want to dedicate an episode, our 100th episode, to just being fans of the game.
That's what it's all about, man. 100. Time flies when you're having fun. This has been nothing short of exciting for the both of us, I know, but it's been easy, but it's also been a grind at times, and that's, we're at 100. It shows that we've been dedicated, and, I wouldn't want to celebrate with anyone else, Jacob.
Love it. A lot of people have helped us get here. So, Nick McClure with our intro and outro song. Love
also,
it. Hey.
For a while, we had to rely on D4L. So shout out D4L.
D4L.
Scotty, it was a great intro and also Soulja Boy. Appreciate Crank that. That was our outro. So thank you. And then Nick McClure, of course, with our forever tunes. So
that's right. And hey, my dad helped us get off the ground. So that's special.
Jamie Carnes, legend.
The legend. Our wives for letting us record every week.
Yeah, that's important.
Shout out to them. So, hey, let's dive in. Let's talk about college football. Let's talk about things on and off the field, in and outside of the stadium. How about this? It's our 100th episode. Daniel, what has been your favorite episode of the Extra Point podcast?
Yeah, so you talk about people helping us get here. This last year is when we really started having guests on. We wanted to kind of get our bearings straight before we started involving others. So we had some friends on, but others who have helped us, others come to mind. Chris Burnett, former UGA player, current Chick-fil-A superstar. He's definitely helped us out, but some titans in the industry of Barton Simmons and Josh Pate, specifically Josh Pate, because he guilted Barton into coming on. So that was great. But, just those guys who are willing to, lend a hand and, reach down for us and kind of give us some pointers and, speak to our audience and really, kind of give us a platform. So just grateful for those shows. We've had multiple shows with Josh and then, Barton, that was great. Barton Simmons. So just really enjoyed anytime we have a really special guest on.
David Cobb of CBS Sports, Dane Young of EJSports.com.
Yes.
We've had some really cool guests on. All of our friends who have been on, Hunter, Cartwright, Kyle, Preston, Chris, Dotson. Who else have we had? Who am I missing? If we missed you, I'm sorry.
Kyle Denton, Kyle Colavita.
Two
Kyles. Yeah. I think Kevin Roberts. Gonna be a new dad. Kevin.
Our wives were on the episode. We had the wives episode.
We said that. Edit that. Put that in earlier. Okay, we had our wives on. They were our most influential.
Favorite episode.
Yeah, fave episode was the wives edition.
I have two favorite episodes. Number one, our Big 12 preview, because little did little did I know, I should have known
All it takes.
that when we there are a few polarizing teams in college football. One of those is quite obviously Texas. And I mean, I'll be honest, I have
we underestimated it. I did not know.
And I'll say I don't root against Texas. We have some friends who are Texas fans, Andrew Kirkland, and it's fun to root against them. It's fun to root against them. So I have no rooting interest in the manner. All it took was us saying Texas is going to go 10-2. And I mean, it's hilarious. You ought to go on YouTube, youtube.com, search as the Extra Point Pod, subscribe, like all that stuff. Go to the comments of our Big 12 preview. Very funny. No, but for real, I'll be honest. I was giddy when we had Barton on. I mean, you know this. I've been listening to Barton Simmons and Chip Batterson from when they had the 24/7 college football podcast that turned into Cover 3 now with Tom Fornelli and Danny Cannell now and Bud Elliott. But when we had Barton on, that was like, I cannot believe that Barton Simmons is on our podcast. Like
right.
That is honestly my favorite episode. No offense to our other guests. It's just I was giddy when he got on.
I think my favorite part of that whole interaction was he told us 9 p.m. and we said okay, but he's on Central Time, so it was like we're on Eastern Time. We had to, we didn't know the exchange rate. We didn't know the currency. We're like, I don't know. What does that mean? We're on at 12? I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Well, I hope we have some more fun episodes for the next 100 episodes, and we can celebrate at 200 what the last 100 looked like. So let's do this. Let's have some fun. Daniel, what is the best or your favorite home uniform in college football?
I would say home uniform. I really like how LSU wears white. Did you really? No, you didn't, Jacob.
Man, you know that was going to be my number one.
No, I thought you were going to say their helmet. Anyways, I know you like their helmet. I didn't think about. Anyways, I like their white uniform, yellow pants, yellow helmet. Like, just do your thing. It's just, I guess, gold and gold, whatever you want to call it. But it's pretty. It's unique because most teams at home wear their solid colors, and LSU wears white with the purple numbers. And I've always thought they stand out, and it's like every game's a home game for them because they wear white on the road too. So it's cool.
Yeah, the best home uniform in college football is LSU. So I'm glad we're in agreement there.
I really had no idea that you were going to pick them. I was like, I'll just put LSU because I really like it, and he's probably got something else. So
yeah, it's beautiful. Okay, one thing that goes a long way for me. I love if your stripe matches on either your jersey, helmet, pants, or all three. And with LSU,
big stripe guy.
I'm a big stripe guy. In LSU, the helmet and pants are both gold, and they have the same stripe on both. It's beautiful. The purple numbers. It's a great uniform. Do you have an honorable mention?
And I also like the block numbers. Like, I like how like they just do it right. I feel like every part of it, it looks like a college uniform, not an NFL uniform.
Yes.
I think that's important. I like the color scheme because it's a college color scheme. NFL seems to be more, at least before they were a little more traditional. He said, do I have a second?
Do you have an honorable mention?
An honorable mention? I mean, I'm a sucker for tradition. So give me like, USC or Ohio State, something like that. I mean, even Alabama, just something that's just classic.
My number 2, Michigan.
Oh,
Michigan's home is just, I love that blue and gold together. Usually it's hard to get a good like solid
and blue. Okay.
Excuse me.
And blue.
It's hard to get a good solid like color on a different color. But Michigan does it right with the blue on top of the maize, the blue jersey, maize pants, maize numbers.
Yeah.
It looks really good. All right. I'm going to start with the away uniform for sakes of you potentially stealing mine. Best away uniform, you're going to see a trend here, It's mainly because there's the same stripe on the helmet, the sleeve, and the pants, and it's Ohio State. Ohio State's away uniform is so good looking. The colors are perfect. The red pops on that white jersey, and then the silver helmet and silver pants, or the gray helmet, gray pants. It looks really, really good. The stripe like pops. It doesn't pop as much on the home uniform because the stripe is red, and on the red jersey, it doesn't pop like it does on the white jersey. And so I love Ohio State's away uniform.
Those are nice. Me, I just am very much a clean look guy. So the all whites for Texas, I just have always liked when they go white head to toe. And then they just have the, obviously orange numbers, orange letters, and then the orange longhorn on either side of the helmet. That's a good look.
My honorable mention is USC. So I love and that's a good example of a like one color helmet, white jersey, different color pants. So they got that, maroon helmet with the white jersey and the yellow pants, gold pants, whatever you want to call them. But that's a good looking away uniform as well. All right. I have a feeling we might have the same alternate uniform.
Okay.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
I mean, mine's just the black Georgia uniform. So more specifically, not the one that they wore this past year, even though I liked the block numbers, I didn't like the collar with the spikes. It was fine, I guess. It wasn't as noticeable as I thought it was going to be when I first saw them, but I like they're just traditional. Because it's just the inverted version of the red ones where the collar is red instead of black, and then it looks good. It's clean. It doesn't distract completely from their normal uniform. I feel like they can wear it and it looks normal, but it's also nice. Everybody likes a good black jersey.
And like you said, it's like all they changed is the jersey. So it's the red helmet, the black jersey, the silver breeches. It's clean. Like it still looks Georgia. It still looks traditional. It's actually one of their two colors.
Right.
So,
exactly. Yeah.
A lot of teams that wear black, that black is not a part of their colors. Yeah. So that was my number one.
Iowa State blackout, and you're like, okay.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I had to have two honorable mentions here. So we couldn't go with talking about uniforms without talking about Oregon. So I put everything Oregon does. I literally wrote everything Oregon does as best alternate because it's different every game. Their whole look is awesome all the time. So we couldn't have a uniform conversation without talking about Oregon. A second one I like, Clemson's, when they wear their away uniform with the orange pants.
Okay.
So, and it's a similar theme here for the same reason. The helmet stripe matches the orange pants. The helmet stripe does not match their white pants. That's always bothered me. So with the orange pants, it just pops with the orange helmet, orange numbers, orange pants. Clemson's away uniform with orange pants. So playoff Clemson, like the uniform they wore when they won that first natty with Deshaun.
Right.
That's the one.
It's like
and the second one actually.
I really like the, you talk about matching helmet to jersey to pants. I've always been a fan, and this, of Ole Miss, except I've never been able to understand why their pants still have the navy stripe when they wear those powder blues, when they wear the helmet or I like when they wear the helmet and then they wear the white jersey with just red numbers. So you're like, okay, like it still matches because they're not putting a navy stripe on the jersey. It's just white and red with the powder blue on the helmet. But I'm like, what's it got to take for you to put a powder blue stripe on those pants instead of that navy stripe, or just omit the navy stripe? It drives me bonkers, which I think they fixed last year or the year before. They had
well, they wore white pants instead of the gray ones.
Okay. But did it have a navy stripe on it?
It was just red.
Okay. So it finally looked presentable. I like the powder blue color. So anyways, it's cool, but part of it's always bugged me when they wear it the right way. Those are pretty.
All right. Best helmet. I have 4. I'll list my clear one, and then I have 3 tied for second. So my clear number 1 is LSU. So you were right in that I was going to have LSU as the helmet. It's classic. Like there's nothing else like it. It's that tiger logo that is only on their helmet. Like
Right.
it's the only place you see it with the, the black LSU letters with the stripe, the purple face mask. It's a perfect helmet. So LSU best helmet for me. What about you?
I'm a sucker for tradition, like we said. Notre Dame. I just like that it's
Mm-hmm.
gold, and it's just like they're the Golden Domers. That's like their thing. You know, ever since Rudy, it's just it is what it is. They have 14 karat gold in the paint. Like that's cool, So uh, when they hit someone real hard, you see sparkles, come off the helmet. So, it's like try to pick them
It's
up if
called
you can.
targeting.
Yeah, it is targeting. It is targeting. Um, they need to shape up that defense, but no, seriously, I think that's one of my favorites.
All right, I want you to rank these three helmets 1 to 3. All right, I'll give it to you in alphabetical order. Florida State. I had to think about this. Florida State, Michigan, Ohio State.
I like the spear on the Florida State helmet. It's just pretty fierce, and especially in their heyday, it just was synonymous with athlete. I felt like they just had dudes everywhere, which they still kind of have dudes, but they need some dudes to block too. But I've always liked that spear on the helmet.
Yeah, that's why it made the list, is because it's like LSU with there's a logo that's only used on your helmet
Well, and Michigan with the wings, like you
in
mentioned, with
Michigan,
the
right?
that's just cool.
And Ohio State with the Buckeyes. So I guess all four of my helmets were unique to the helmet.
Yeah.
That's great. All right. So to sum up, we said best uniforms, best home uniform. We both agreed LSU. Away uniform, we have 1 vote for Ohio State, 1 vote for Texas. Alternate uniform, we both agree UGA's blackout uniform. Best helmet, we have 1 vote for Notre Dame, 1 vote for LSU. Hey, let us know on YouTube, on social media, what you think of the best uniforms. Daniel, where can they find this information?
Well, the best way to do it is at the Extra Point Pod on both Instagram and Facebook. That's where we post all of our picture content for the most part, all our graphics. We get some stuff over on Twitter if you follow us at Deep South Daniel and at Jacob Carnes. But follow those link trees all the way to YouTube, like and subscribe, and click the notifications bar so that you get all the info every time we post a show.
You can actually comment on YouTube like someone did last week and say, these guys don't know football, if that's how you really feel. So feel free to do that. You can drop it right there if you're watching on YouTube. Feel free. So
hey, I was going to say, Jacob, you mentioned logo earlier. Do you have a logo in the hopper that's your favorite? If you don't, I've also got another question. What's your favorite mascot? Not like, I'm not even going to say live or anything like that. Just what's the coolest mascot to you? Is it,
Ralphie.
Ralphie?
It's Ralphie or Uga. It's Ralphie or Uga.
Okay.
What about you?
Well, I was just going to simply say the South Dakota State Jackrabbits because no one else is a flipping Jackrabbit. The actual logo or the actual the mascot name, I guess I should have said. But yeah, if it was a live one, it would probably be Uga or Ralphie. I mean, Bevo's cool, but he's also temperamental. So, and I don't know what those people in the wagon are doing at Oklahoma, but they boomer sooner,
Logo's bothering me.
It's difficult because you're asking a question about, it's like a lot of, are you going secondary logo? Are you going primary logo?
Yeah,
I'm gonna derail your whole thought here.
Yeah, I'm very classic when it comes to logos. Like I like simple. I'm just looking at pictures of logos to give myself some inspiration.
Well, I know you love that tiger that's on the LSU helmet, so I was like, oh, that's gonna be what he picks. But
yes, okay. The best LSU logo is the eye of the tiger. They have a midfield.
Oh yeah,
like that's That's sexy. Okay. Here's some logos that come to mind. Florida State is unique. You know it when you see it.
Right.
Texas, like unique. You know exactly what it is when you see it. Miami, the U. Those are the first three I thought of.
That's cool.
I'll just leave it at that. Do you have a favorite logo?
Miami's cool. Mostly because I'm going to pick them this year to do a lot of great things.
Daniel Hammock's picking Miami to win the national championship.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I didn't hear any denying after I said that.
You know, let's roll with it. I think Oregon's pretty cool. Just the O, that's pretty cool. You know, simplicity is like the name of the game with logos.
Yeah.
So, you know, how Nike has done it, Nike and Oregon, you know, do your thing. So, not to get us too off topic, but I thought that would be fun to kind of organically check.
All right. How about this? Best college football stadium that you've been to. Not necessarily environment, because we'll get there, but of stadiums you've been to, what's the best?
Well, I've only been to a few, so pickings are slim. As far as being inside, I've only been inside 3. So one of those being Sanford Stadium. So I'm going to go with Sanford Stadium. Bobby Dodd was fun. And then I've also been to Kennesaw State's home stadium, Fifth Third Bank Stadium. The Bank, been there.
Even before then, we went to Auburn.
Oh, that's right. We did go to Auburn. Hey, that was great. That was a lot of fun. I'd still say Sanford, but that was a great environment at Auburn. Great fans.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So I've been to the ones you just mentioned. I'll +1. So I'll go this one. Ohio Stadium in Columbus.
It's a good one.
Home of the Buckeyes. It's one you hear about growing up, like, the shoe, the horseshoe. And so going to see it, and like seeing stuff I'd seen pictures of and kind of where it is on campus and the game day environment around it was really, really cool. So, and the way it is a horseshoe and like that one end zone has a huge grandstand. And I had a unique experience at Ohio State. Shout out to Chris Dotson and his dad, Jeff Dotson, because we had the hookup for Ohio State. I stood in the tunnel while the team came out. So, I mean, I stood next to Chase Young and said, oh my gosh, someone should not be allowed to be this big and this fast. Yeah, I'll go Ohio Stadium, home of Ohio State. So
I've been to a couple of, I've been outside a few stadiums. I've been outside Clemson's, stadium, the fake Death Valley, stood out there and looked at Howard's Rock from like 6 feet away. I stood outside of Bryant-Denny Stadium. We tailgated all day at Alabama. Been outside of Doak Campbell Stadium, Florida State. So I've been to SunTrust Park to watch a college football game. Shoot, I've been to the Braves Turner Field, which is now Georgia State Stadium. So there you go.
So I've been to Clemson. Clemson was great. I'll mention something about their stadium here on this list. I've not been to a game in Gainesville, but I have been inside that stadium when it's empty. So there's that. Yeah, I'll still go Ohio State of everything I've seen. All right, how about environment though? So best environment in college football, either based on what you've seen in person, seen on TV, read about, heard about. What's the best environment in college football?
I feel like there's 2 that you hear about. Any big night game in Death Valley, in LSU, that just seems like it always takes the stage, especially when they're playing well. But even if they're not, it's tough to go in there. But Penn State wideouts, I mean, like we've talked about it a couple times, those just seem like there's something special about it. So that tradition, usually it's just a cool feel. So
Yeah, LSU is my number one, and specifically the whiteout. I see these lists sometimes, and everyone's like, you have to include Penn State, but like, hey, let us know, how's the environment outside of the whiteout? Because I've heard it's just not at all the same, and every game at LSU is
Right.
insane. So I'm like, those to me can't be in the same conversation. I think it's LSU and everybody else at that point. I've heard Gainesville gets crazy whenever whenever Florida's doing really good. Ohio State, I heard it get really loud. I wasn't there in person. We've heard. I've been in Sanford Stadium when it's gotten insane. Auburn always has really good home field advantage.
I feel like Alabama probably gets a bad rap just because they're always good. And it's probably not fair to them because there's a lot of second halves where they just aren't in it. But I'll say this: anytime someone gives Alabama a game, that's an amazing environment. So
Yeah.
that's something I think we do kind of take for granted. It's kind of like LeBron. Is he really the MVP every year?
Mm.
And you give it to other people. You probably could give Coach of the Year to Saban. That's probably one of the best environments, some great fans over in Tuscaloosa. So,
All right, this is a fun one. Best tradition in college football. I'll start off with one that I've seen on TV, and I was in awe of it, and then I got to see it in person, and I was in awe of it. And I mean, Howard Rock with Clemson, but specifically like their whole pregame to when they enter the stadium. I remember watching. I was a junior in high school in 2013 when Georgia played Clemson, and it was the first time I watched ESPN like cover the whole pregame really, really well. And so they had the blimp in the air with cameras on the team walking out of the locker room because they have to leave the locker room on one side of the stadium, get on buses, drive to the other side of the stadium where the hill is, get off the buses. They unload, all touch the rock, and then they run down the hill, release the balloons. The hill's got that little stop in the middle, and play. If I were the head coach at Clemson, man, I would not be letting those players run and jump. That's an ACL waiting to happen. I don't know how they don't get injured all the time,
my ACL's
but
hurt just thinking about it.
I mean, seeing it on TV, I was in awe, and then getting to see it in person, I was even more in awe. I think it's really, really, really cool what they do at Clemson. They do that right, and they do game day right. So, best tradition in college football. I think Clemson's entrance and Howard Rock running down the hill is awesome.
I guess for me, it changed a few years ago. So mine is Light Up Sanford for University of Georgia. For several years now, they've played Krypton Fanfare, their song. Everybody holds up four fingers. I feel like every team ever holds up four fingers in the start of the fourth quarter, but it was just kind of like their thing. It was cool. But then, a few years back, it started where everybody's got a cell phone now, obviously, and so they just all turn on their flashlight, and then it just turned into this huge light show, and then they took it on the road in 2017 up to Notre Dame and did it up there, and then came back, and now Georgia, among others, has all these LED lights, and they do it all, together with the red and the whole thing. So any light show, I'm a sucker for light shows and fireworks, anything like that. I was going to say I like Florida State's fireworks. That's an honorable mention, I guess, to start. And then obviously when their pregame just in general with Chief Osceola. But yeah, Light Up Sanford's still my fave.
I'll say an honorable mention, and this is why I want them to be good again. But Enter Sandman with Virginia Tech, I need to go see that in person. It looks and sounds so cool on TV. Like, we got to get to Blacksburg to go see that because that, again, the build up to it is awesome. And so we've heard awesome things. We've seen awesome things about that one. I got to go see that one. All right. Let's go to we've done the sights. How about the sounds? What is the best fight song in college football?
I love USC, man. Fight on USC. I think it was kind of born out of, they were big time when we were younger. They had that 3-year stretch where it was just like they just didn't lose games and they were the most marketable team and they were Southern California. It's just cool. But my high school that I grew up, that I went to, we had the same fight song. And so I think just the nostalgia of putting those two together is just groovy. So I'm here for it. Fight on.
That was my honorable mention. You would think I'm a fan of this team by now. The best fight song is Tiger Rag. So I got to hit pause, though. There are two versions of Tiger Rag, and it's also the two teams who claim to have Death Valley as their stadium. So Clemson and LSU have versions of Tiger Rag. I have heard both in person. LSU's is so much better. And I think you have to hear them side by side. Maybe I'll edit this in. But Clemson's is very uniform throughout, and it's great. And, at the end of their Tiger Rag, they spell Clemson. LSU's starts slower, and then in the middle, it speeds up, and it has this, like, jazzy sound to it, very New Orleans. And then it slows down again for the end, and they just spell tiger or tigers. And it is like, when I heard this, the last year we had fans, in 2019 for the SEC championship, when they spelled tigers, I almost wanted to be a fan of LSU. So it's
Did they spell
awesome.
it with an AH at the end, like a Tyga?
Yes, Tigers. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's just that. Dun 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 dun, the whole thing. It's so good. I love college football.
Dude, bands are so great. That's like, it's so lost in the pro game. You don't get that. The college game, drum lines are amazing. Bands, they just make the atmosphere and the pageantry. Like, that's what it's all about.
I'll give a shout out again to Nick McClure because college bands were our inspiration for our Extra Point theme song. And we told him, hey, a little bit of hip hop, but we got to get that drum line in there. Like, college football is all about the drum line, the band. And that's our inspiration for our theme song is college bands. So, all right, this is the last one I have. I wanted to say this one for last. Do you have anything else before I get to our last topic?
Oh, we had two more topics.
Okay, best game. What was the other one?
Well, what we're most looking forward to.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. No, we do have to.
Okay.
No. You're right. Okay. Best game that you've gotten to watch, and I'll put a caveat on this. You had to be watching live, and it had to be in your lifetime. Obviously, if you're watching it, it's in your lifetime. But
right.
Best game you've watched in your lifetime.
Now this is just, it can be watched on TV. I have one in person and one just on TV. So on TV was the Rose Bowl, when Georgia and Oklahoma met up it was 2017 season, 2018, January 1st, 2018 was the Rose Bowl. That was just amazing because it was really like Lincoln Riley jumping on stage in a major way as like the premier play caller in college football. And I just remember thinking like it was really kind of a turning point for most people's mindsets, I feel like, because they saw Kirby Smart all these years with Nick Saban as like this unstoppable force as a defensive mind. He was basically the class of college football as a defensive mind. And he was giving everything he's got to Lincoln Riley, and Lincoln Riley did whatever he wanted, at least the first half. And then even the second half, I mean, Georgia came back and ended up winning. But that just was like a tale of two halves. And then it had to take so many spectacular plays, one after the other, from both teams to create such a memorable game. And you just didn't know what was going to happen until the very end. So a walk-off win for the Dogs in overtime. That's just an amazing game to watch.
That season gave us two of the best football games in college football history. And they were only 9 days apart.
Don't talk about the other one.
So I listed two, and the Rose Bowl is one of them. And the other one's that national championship game. I mean, you can't write stories like this. Like to have the greatest college football coach of all time bench his starter from the entire season at halftime and have the guy who hadn't played all season come in and win the game, for it to go to overtime and for Georgia to get the momentum back with a sack and like thinking it's over with a 2nd and 26, like, you know, the guy who caught the pass goes on to win the Heisman 3 years later. Like, yeah, that season gave us the best 2 football games I've ever watched, in both that national championship with Alabama's overtime win over Georgia and then Georgia's overtime win over Oklahoma in that Rose Bowl. All right. We talked about a lot of favorites. We're college football fans first, and we love it so much that we
Wait. Hold on. Best game in person. Have you seen? Did you do one for that? I thought we were doing both.
So okay, go ahead. Best game in person. Yep.
Mine, I got it because I got to shout out my boys, Kennesaw State. All right, Kennesaw State, Jacksonville State, 5 overtimes at SunTrust Park. So home of the Braves. It was great, and Kennesaw State came out on top, of course. So it was like 52-48, something like that.
I got to look up a date here because I'm going to make you laugh here. All right. Best game I've been to in person. All right. Let me set this up. October 17th, 2015. Do you know where I'm going with this game? Okay. Let me. All right. Picture this. Daniel and I work for a Chick-fil-A restaurant together, and we had to open the restaurant that day.
5 a.m.
5 a.m. We had to be there. All right. Our boss kindly sent us home, quote unquote, at noon so that we could drive to Athens, Georgia to go to a game because Georgia and Missouri had a 7 p.m. kick, like the 7 p.m. SEC network kick that
night. It was 8 o'clock, I thought.
Was it 8?
It was late.
I don't know, dude.
Yeah, it was late.
Georgia won 9-6. No one scored a touchdown. Oh gosh, that was so much fun though, because
the drive home,
the crowd felt like you had to be out. So we were up for almost 24 hours because of how long that day was. No, for real, best game I've been to in person. You and I have grown up in Georgia, so we've been to a lot of Georgia games. 2013, LSU in Georgia played a classic in Athens, and that was an amazing game. I'll throw a wild card in there. The 2014 Chick-fil-A Bowl between Texas A&M and Duke.
Oh, yeah.
Was awesome.
That was great.
Johnny Manziel had a comeback against Duke. It was great. That was a great football game. So
he had a couple of his major highlights in that game.
Yeah.
So.
In the Georgia Dome. RIP. All right. Things we're looking forward to this football season. And this is a big one. We haven't had like real college football in a year where everything we just, mentioned around football, a lot of it is because of the fans. It's because of people like us. So, Daniel, what are some things you're most looking forward to this football season?
I got 3 things, and it kind of revolves right around what you said. Number 1 is going to be full stadiums. That's honestly what college football is all about, especially in major college football, SEC, and any other major fan base outside of the SEC. I say that with all kindness. Just they sell out every single game. So having teams that just don't have empty seats ever, having them have empty seats last year was just weird. And so having that back, that's huge. Going along with that, College Game Day is just one of my favorite things. It's probably partial nostalgia, but also I just think it's a great product that ESPN puts out. I think it's ESPN's best product that they do, hands down. Just the traveling show, and it's about the fans. And last year it couldn't be. They had to get creative with how they did things with the band and social distancing. And, I'm just excited about College Game Day being at full capacity again and having just a bunch of just crazy people standing behind them screaming and getting pumped when they talk about a team that they love and getting filled with hatred when they mention a team that they hate or show a player that they don't like. Or a coach they don't like. That's my favorite. So those 2 things, and then just kind of add to that tailgating. So just tailgating was kind of an afterthought, and that's part of the game day experience specifically for college football. So hang out by a tailgate, get you some food, watch some games, throw the football around. Nice fall weather.
Thursday, September 2nd, we're going to see the Mullets in Brooks Stadium when Coastal Carolina takes on the Citadel. We're going to get to see Gus Malzahn's debut in the bounce house when UCF takes on Boise State. We're going to get to hear Rocky Top when Tennessee takes on Bowling Green that Thursday night at 8 p.m. on the SEC Network.
And if we're lucky, we'll hear Third Down for What as well.
Only if we're lucky. Only if we're lucky. The next Friday night, September 3rd, Blacksburg, Virginia. Enter Sandman. The season hasn't started yet, so Virginia Tech fans have all the reason in the world to be hopeful when Sam Howell and North Carolina roll into town. And then, Saturday, what more is there need to be said about Saturday? The headliner, Georgia and Clemson, two schools that are 70 miles apart, two teams that have national championship hopes are going to take the field in Charlotte. Clemson with a new quarterback, Georgia with finally, hopefully, a quarterback. And Alabama takes on Miami and Atlanta. Bryce Young coming in as a first-year starter. Can Miami with the veteran team take down Alabama? Texas and Louisiana, that's an underrated game. Sark's debut, Louisiana, a team that beat Iowa State last season. Sunday night, the Tomahawk Chop, when Florida State takes on Notre Dame, that place is going to be electric. Like, those fans are excited. Monday night, you've got the another Chick-fil-A kickoff game with Ole Miss and Louisville. Man, I'm just ready for week one. I know I'm going to be sitting my butt in a chair and watching football all day. We've gone back and forth with, we want to try to go to one of these games, but there's so many games on. It's just, you want to watch all of them. It's tough. But I know that we both want to get inside a stadium too, because we've gotten to go to a couple Braves games here in Atlanta, but there is nothing like going to a college football game. So, hey, thank you so much for watching and listening to our podcast. I think we would do it just to vent, even if we had nobody watching or listening. But the fact that we do is just an honor and a privilege. And so for that, we're very thankful. One more thing I forgot to add as an honorable mention for a fight song and thing I'm looking forward to, for the band to play Neck. If you know, you know. So, Daniel, any final thoughts?
Man, we're just keeping it 100 over here. All right.
Yeah, we are. Hey, you can follow him on Twitter at Deep South Daniel. You can follow me on Twitter at Jacob Carnes with a K. Be sure to join us next week. We'll continue our season previews with the Big Ten West. That will do it for this edition of The Extra Point. He is Daniel. I am Jacob. See ya.